Welcome back, Math 20-3. Today we are now into our last section of the chapter 7, which is analyzing budget. As you may notice, I put part 1 because I break this into two segments again, like in a previous section, 7.2. If you have your workbook available, I highly recommend you guys go to page 354 for any details. So, when we say to analyze, here's something that I want to point that out first. You may actually reach your goal, or sometimes, which is very common lately, you may go beyond what you plan as a budget. So people often find that once you create a budget, either they cannot stay on it or their situation changed, so we need to make an adjustment. And the very first step that you need to understand about analyzing budget is know how to adjust. And that is very common. For example, your job changed, or you are laid off, or you are moving from one work to another, something like that. And one of the most useful way of analyzing a budget to adjust is, of course, use graph, because graph is quite visual, so you know how much expense is going where, those kind of thing. And when it comes to graph, we will look at circle graph. Sometimes people refer it as pie graph. But I won't go through the graph part for today. That will be the next lesson video. I want you to go to an example on page 354, which is example number 1. I'm going to read the question. Patrice has budgeted to put $35 a week into savings. This account for 12% of her income. And we have 3 questions. A. What is Patrice's weekly income? B. If she follows her budget, how much will she have saved in 1 year? And C. If her salary increases by 3%, and she continues to put 12% of her income into saving, how much will she save in a year? So we're basically comparing. In order to compare those, we need to analyze. So let's start one by one. First thing first, what is Patrice's weekly income? Now, here's the thing. Right now, we know that $35 is already a savings money. And this is 12% of our net income. So how can we find the net income? Think about our logical flow in this way. So net income, we're going to put it as X. So how can we go from X to 35%? Here, $35. Here's what you need to do. If you have X amount of money, we need to multiply by the percentage of it, which is 0.12. And that turned out to be $35. So now we need to isolate for this variable X. So what should I do? Divide by 0.12 on both sides. So X is equal to $35 over 0.12. That's what you need to put. And if you do everything, let me take out the calculator in my computer. Sorry about that. 35 divided 0.12 turn out to be 291.66 and continue, which of course we need to round it up to cent. 291.67. That is your net income. Well, Patrice net income, net weekly income. So we have that saved. A is done. B, if she follows her budget, how much will she have saved in 1 year? So let's now think about it as a time situation. In 1 week, Patrice, I'm gonna call Pat can save $35. In 1 year, which is 52 weeks, how much money are we saving? So when you look at these, we can set up a simple ratio. You can say 1 week $35 equal to 52 weeks X amount of dollar, something like that. So what you need to do is whatever I multiply inside should be equal to whatever multiply outside. So 35.00 times by 52 will be my X, and that will represent how much money we save for entire year, assuming that there is no change. Then you save about $1,820, but don't forget to put additional 00 as a cent situation. Now C. C is asking if her salary increases by 3% and she continues to put 12% of her income into saving, how much will she save in a year? Now C, there's two methods, and I'm gonna go through those situations. Method 1, find increased percentage first. So what I mean by that is this: we need to go back to our A's answer. So her salary was turned out to be $291.67. I want you to find out the percentage given by the question. It says 3%, so that's 3 over 100. So what does that equal to? 291.67 multiply with 0.03. If you don't mind. There you go, that's a little better. Provides you about, rounded up, $8.75. That is basically how much money that she earned additionally. So now what you need to do is we need to use that amount as plus factor for your, well, Pat's weekly income. So new net income does come out as addition of those two, 8.75 plus 291.67 is equal to 342 cent. Now that is your net income. It is not fully done because we need to find that. In question number C, she says she will put 12% of her new income into saving, and we need to eventually find out how much is our total new income. So here's what you need to do. Our new income, which was $300.42, you need to do the percentage 0.12. So let's do that. Multiply by 12 and divide by 100. It's $36.05, and you C is want to know about how much money that you save in a year. So 52 weeks multiplied by 52. Multiplied by 52 provides you $1,874.62. That is your answer. As you may notice, this method takes a little bit of a long time. So I'm going to give you a little bit of different method. I call it total change it percentage method. What I mean by that is this. We know that Pat will have increased 3% in her income. So what does that tells you? That means imagine you earn about 100%. That means you're going to earn 103% of an income. So here's what you need to do. Original paycheck amount, $291.67. I want you to convert this percentage into fraction or decimal, which is 1.03 if you do decimal, or 103 divided by 100. It really doesn't matter, fortunately. But in any case, 291.67 multiplied by 1.03 is equal to 300.42 cents. Now, as you may notice, at one step, we did two different steps in previous method. Previous method, we needed to find 3% and how much it is first, and then add it up to my original account to get that. But if you just add those up, or it can be -2 if you have a pay cut instead of pay raise. But in any case, if you apply some kind of change in percentage, two steps can be just turning into one step. So $300.42. Now with that money, what should I do? Same thing that you did before, the conversion of saving 0.12. That provides you $36.05. And you want to find out how many in a total year, multiply by 52, and that provides you $1,874.62 as a final answer. That is our lesson for today. Your to-do list is basically build your skills questions from page 355 to 356. There's about 2 questions over there with parts.